everybody. I'm Tara Durheim, the Associate Publisher for the Academic and Monastic Markets at Liturgical Press. And I'm here with Hans Christofferson, who's the publisher of the Academic and Monastic Markets. And we are pleased to be joined today with Dr. Mary Doak, Professor of Theology at the University of San Diego. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. And what we are about here today is just a little appetizer for Mary's new book that we have published here with Liturgical Press, A Prophetic Public Church. Mary and I first started talking about this book, 3-4 years ago now. We were looking around, and Mary was looking around at all the things happening in church and society, internationally and locally. And I thought there is something that public theology can say to this. Mm-hmm. And Mary, I imagine that as we are writing, talking about this now in late May of 2020, things have gotten even timelier. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Well, I have long been concerned by trends that have been going on for maybe 20, 30 years to divide up between those who are arguing for a public church that's engaged with the world versus a prophetic church that maintains its distinct alternative witness. One of the things that I found in doing further research into the mission of the church is that, one is that there's a beautiful statement of the church's mission that refuses to separate the public and the prophetic, just like it refuses to separate the sign versus the instrument in a sacrament, because the church is called to be both, to be a sacrament, which is also to be both a sign or witness of something distinct and an instrument to work for that in the world. One of the things that has most excited me in my last 20 years probably of research is finding how many Christian churches around the world and of different types have affirmed that mission. The Catholic Church articulated it clearly in the Second Vatican Council in both Lumen Gentium and Gaudium et Spes. They took it from the Orthodox, for whom that idea of communion has always been central to their theology, and it has since been affirmed by the World Council of Churches. I found it in Mennonite statements, in Episcopal statements from the Anglican Communion. So it's a shared mission, and I think it's always timely, but it's particularly timely in a world where our global problems are so big. We're facing issues that require a community's response. So for the church to work for unity and the communion of all in God is really important at a time when the forces are both uniting and dividing us. There's no doubt the world is interconnected, but the terms on which we will be interconnected are increasingly in doubt. Mm-hmm. The church has long been concerned with things like refugees, with things like poverty, but we haven't faced the kind of global, huge systems that we're dealing with. The problems of climate change are arguably new, but the global economy behind it, generating inequalities, poverty, common issues, but at a level we've never dealt with before. And of course, the refugee crisis that's coming out of both climate change and the global economy and its poverty is also a huge global situation. So one of my questions in writing this book was first from the perspective of a Christian. What does it mean to be church, to work for unity in this world with these challenges? On the other hand, the more I've worked on it, I've seen how badly the world needs groups like the church to fulfill their mission. For people who find themselves, as I often do myself, overwhelmed by the size and severity of the problems we face, ones that are only getting worse with the global pandemic, the importance of working in communities, in local and global communities, which churches are, has been particularly evident to me. And I also think that at times of hopelessness and despair, the hope in a sacred divine that unites, inspires, and empowers us is also central to the ability of the church to make a difference in the world.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. That's it is universal in so many ways, our issues, our challenges, and our problems, and you really drew that together well. I think the volume, the book is just a marvel to read, and we look forward to having you speak to this more other places and other times when we can meet together in person. And we thank you so much for taking this time to share a little snippet of it with us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, this has been a brief conversation with Dr. Mary Doak from the University of San Diego, talking about a prophetic public church, which is available now at litpress.org.